You know, some stories in sports just don't add up. They defy all logic, they defy every expectation, and they just leave everyone scratching their heads asking, how did that happen? Well, we have got one of those stories for you today.
I mean, just think about the name Bill Belichick. The guy's resume it's insane. 8 Super Bowl rings total, 6 of them as a head coach. He's got the second most wins of all time. He built a dynasty. By any measure you can think of, he's one of the greatest coaches to ever do it. A first ballot slam dunk, no-brainer for the Hall of Fame. Except,
yeah, he wasn't. In his very first year of eligibility, Bill Belichick was told, nope, not yet. The doors to Canton, Ohio stayed shut. And that decision sent an absolute shockwave through the entire NFL world. And listen to this reaction from Peter King, a guy who was actually in that voting room for over 3 decades. That says it all, right? This wasn't just a surprise to us, the fans. This was a genuine bombshell to the people who know this process inside and out. So let's get into how this actually went down. Okay, so the whole process starts here. There are exactly 50 voters on the Pro Football Hall of Fame selection committee. These are mostly veteran NFL reporters, people who've covered the league for decades, plus a few Hall of Famers themselves.
Now, to get that famous gold jacket, a candidate has to get a yes from 80% of the people in that room. So that means you need at least 40 out of those 50 votes. It's a really high bar, and it's designed that way on purpose to make sure only the absolute, undeniable legends get in.
Which brings us to the million-dollar question. For a coach with Belichick's record, getting 40 votes should have been a piece of cake, right? A total formality. So, how many votes did he actually get? Well, the exact number is kept secret, but sources who were there confirmed what we all know now. When the votes were counted, Belichick came up short. The greatest coach of his entire generation did not get the 80% he needed. So what about Belichick's reaction when he got the call? Well, sources close to him said he was both puzzled and disappointed. And apparently he believes this wasn't really about his record, but that, in his words, politics kept him out.
According to one person he spoke with, he asked this really simple, almost weary question that just gets right to the heart of it all. 6 Super Bowls isn't enough? He was talking, of course, about his championships as the head coach of the Patriots. And to another person, he said something similar, just total disbelief. What does a guy have to do? You can just feel the frustration in that, can't you? He built a literal dynasty, he redefined coaching, and yet it wasn't enough to get in on the first try. And you know what? You can't blame him for being frustrated. It begs the question, when on earth could they have debated in that room that would lead at least 11 people to vote no? Well, according to multiple sources, the conversation kept coming back to 2 words that have kind of haunted his legacy.
The first one is Spygate. It is almost hard to believe, but that 2007 videotaping scandal still carries a ton of weight. The team was fined a fortune, they lost a first-round draft pick, and for a lot of people who felt it was just a step too far, it left a permanent stain on that Patriots dynasty.
and then, just 8 years later, you had Deflategate. That whole controversy over the air pressure in footballs. It got Tom Brady suspended for 4 games, and it just fired up that whole debate again about whether the Patriots were willing to bend the rules.
And look, these weren't just small side notes in the discussion. An anonymous voter told ESPN point blank that the cheating stuff really bothered some of the guys in that room. So for a chunk of that committee, how he won mattered just as much as how many games he won.
But this wasn't just a simple debate about ethics.
Oh no. There was another layer of drama, a personal rivalry that was playing out right there on the Hall of Fame ballot, making everything even more complicated.
In a wild twist of fate, both Bill Belichick and his former boss, Patriots owner Robert Kraft, were finalists in the exact same year. Can you believe that? These two guys, the architects who built the whole empire together, are now described as bitter antagonists, and they were basically competing against each other for votes. And the politics, they got even messier. You had Bill Polian, a Hall of Fame voter and the former GM of the rival Colts, who is described as a huge Kraft supporter. Now, Polian denies he was the one who suggested it, but he did confirm that he heard other voters float the idea that Belichick should have to wait a year as a kind of punishment for Spygate. The battle lines were clearly drawn. But the fallout from this decision goes way beyond just Bill Belichick and the politics of one single year. What the committee did has created a ripple effect, a kind of logjam that's going to be felt by other coaching legends for years to come.
Think of it like this.
Belichick is almost guaranteed to be a finalist again next year, so his name on the ballot basically creates a traffic jam. He's taking up a spot that could have gone to someone else, and it just pushes every other deserving coach further down the line.
And who's stuck waiting in that line? We're talking about coaches like Mike Shanahan, Tom Coughlin, and Mike Holmgren. All Super Bowl winners, all legends in their own right. Their wait for Canton just got a whole lot longer because of what happened in that room.
So, in the end, the Belichick snub really forces us to ask a fundamental question about sports legacies. When it comes to the highest honor you can get, what truly matters more? Is it the unparalleled success on the field, or is it the controversies that cast a shadow over how it was all done? That's the question the Hall of Fame voters are going to have to answer all over again next year.